Hi everybody, meteorologist David Paul with you. It is Thursday evening, it is September 29th, and yes, it is the tropical update on Hurricane Ian. Ian spent about 12 hours or less being a tropical storm over Florida, reemerged into the Atlantic, and this afternoon gained hurricane strength back. It is at Cat 1 intensity now as it sits here off the coast of Jacksonville, Florida. 75-mile-an-hour wind, so it's a minimal Cat 1 hurricane moving north-northeast at 10. Pressure's down to 986 millibars, down from higher values as it came over and off the east coast of Florida earlier today. You can see the spin on radar. Almost all the rain, at least the heavy rains, offshore. Beaches are getting a light to moderate rain from the Georgia coast up to South Carolina. Charleston and Myrtle Beach getting wet. It's not heavy. Wilmington, you guys are getting wet. But it looks like heavy rain will be likely, especially along the coastal half of South and North Carolina as we go through tonight and tomorrow. In Charleston, likely you're going to get a Cat 1 hurricane, Ian, making landfall right on you tomorrow midday or so. Here's the forecast track from the Hurricane Center. Stays Cat 1. Winds go to 80 mile an hour sustained near the center. There's Charleston, McClellanville, there's Myrtle Beach. So this may go in right over Charleston Harbor, maybe just a little bit east of Charleston Harbor. Now, it's just a Cat 1 hurricane. You wouldn't think there would be much of a surge, but the wind field is very broad with this. Because of the hugeness of the wind field, there will be several feet of surge potential up and down the South Carolina coast. We'll look at that wind field in just a second. And then by 1 a.m. Saturday, it's through and north of Columbia, moving into Charlotte, North Carolina. Charlotte getting rained on, Raleigh getting rained on as we head into Friday night and early Saturday morning. And then it weakens to a depression. Winds no longer real a threat, but with a twist in the atmosphere, this may produce several inland tornadoes, especially South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia. And the rainfall threat is significant, and we'll look at that forecast as well. Hurricane warnings in effect for the entire coast of South Carolina, the coast of Georgia, and then still the Atlantic coast of Florida, although the storm is moving away from you guys now. It's not going to back up and hit Florida again. You can see tropical storm watches and tropical storm warnings well inland into central, South, and North Carolina. Again, the wind field on this storm is huge. Hundreds of miles away from the center, you've still got tropical storm force winds all the way up to Wilmington. Tropical storm force gusts reaching you guys right now this evening. These are the stronger tropical storm force winds in the orange, and then a little bit of red. That would be your hurricane force winds. So it's a very small hurricane area, but a very broad tropical storm force area. When you get a wind field this broad, so that surface wind grabs a hold of the surface water, and that's what can pile the water up on the right-hand side of the storm. You got a counterclockwise rotation, so that frictional component of the wind on the water grabs it, pushes it out ahead of the storm. That's what creates the rise in sea level, the surge. And with a wind field that's got such a broad sweep to it, it's going to bring in a much higher surge than a Cat 1 hurricane normally would bring in. That's why we separate category forecast, wind forecast from surge forecast. We started doing that with Hurricane Ike back in 2008. So this wind field forecast moving forward in time, this takes us into 1 o'clock on Friday afternoon. There are your Cat 1 hurricane winds near Charleston, Charleston Harbor, and then strong tropical storm force winds, all the way up close to Columbia, South Carolina. Wilmington getting tropical storm force winds, again, coming off the Atlantic coast, sweeping inland. And so the wind will be an impact hundreds of miles inland. Surge warning in effect for all of South Carolina coast and the Georgia coast as well, but really it's the South Carolina coast that we're most concerned about, with several feet possible of a rise in water. Here's the forecast track with the radar forecast going into 10 o'clock in the morning, sitting just off the coast of Charleston, South Carolina. But all the rain all the way up to Wilmington and beyond, the entire coast of North Carolina getting wet and well inland. Into Charlotte, into Columbia. You guys are getting rained on by 10 o'clock Friday morning. We continue to move it forward. We go into Saturday noon, and a lot of rain along the coast. New York's going to get some rain out of this, but these showers in here into West Virginia could add up to several inches of rain as well. When we look at an area where the greatest flood risk is for actual flood caused by rainfall, all the way to Greensboro, Little River, Charlotte, Fayetteville, and then in South Carolina, Columbia to Florence to Garden City, down to Charleston. You guys have the greatest threat for seeing flooding rains. And when we look at the rainfall forecast, you can see why, these darker oranges and yellows, you're getting into 5 to 7 inches of rain or more possible. Locally, 8 to 12, near and just to the right of the center. So Charleston and just up the coast there, you guys could see some significant rain and could see flooding from inland rainfall. But look at this, even going up, into Roanoke, Virginia, you're still looking at, 2-3 inches of rain up in here. Norfolk, 2 to 4 inches of rain. Raleigh, 2 to 4 inches of rain. We go forward into Sunday evening. D.C., a couple of inches of rain. New York in the purple, 1.5 to 2.5 inches of rain. So New York, you guys are going to get rained on Saturday, Sunday from this, and you could see several inches of rain before it's all said and done. These tropical systems, even the weaker ones, can dump a tremendous amount of rain. The rainfall is not tied to the strength of the storm. It's the speed of the storm. And this one's going to kind of move in and sit here for a day or two Saturday and Sunday, and that's why the rainfall totals could be quite significant. Something we're watching carefully. I read your comments. Thanks for leaving them. Questions, anything. It's all fair game. Let me know about it. Until then, stay weather smart and stay safe.